afternoon's practice and qualifying coverage of tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series race on this session. 20-minute practice session for Group A and Group B drivers, as we'll have a split session just like we would typically have on a normal NASCAR race weekend. Same tires that were used for the spring race earlier this year will be at play for this weekend's events. And obviously qualifying going to be very fun to watch as well at the end of the stream following practice. Cars are just now hitting the racetrack. We are under green flag conditions, and the 18 drivers who will take laps in Jones, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, Carson Hocevar, Harrison Burton, Daniel Hemrick, Kaz Gralla out there as well right now, Justin Haley. So those will be the 18 drivers in this group. We'll go over the point standings in a little bit, but I'll air the USA Network coverage right now while they're on green flag and full screen action that is currently going on at the Last Great Coliseum.
Some drivers kind of maybe a must-win, others can point themselves in, but it's Bristol. And remember the spring race here, it was absolutely crazy, all sorts of tire issues, and we don't know what to expect this time. Bristol's always unknown, but I think even more so this time coming in.
For me, the biggest head-scratching situation of the playoffs is this man, Denny Hamlin, goes to Atlanta, employs a strategy of kind of riding around the back, saying it's Coochie. They didn't have the finish in Atlanta they wanted, then they go to Watkins Glen, get in an accident early, try to make something of the day. But now here they are at Bristol below the cut line. This is a driver that I think most had in their championship for in Atlanta. This is near the end of the race. Coming to the finish, actually. He gets caught up in an accident.
Sat at the back of the pack, looking for a certain amount of points to score. Wanted to stay out of trouble.
Lap one. They had the last the first lap of Watkins Glen was a back at the bus stop, and then another wreck in the S's Jeff. This 11, I know he won the Bristol race in the spring. Well, and I know he could win again. But this has become a much more stressful situation than I think they had hoped.
Yeah, and I think that for as many issues as they had at Watkins Glen, they came out of there. It could have been a lot worse than it really was. They finished 23rd after being in that many incidents. So because of that finish, instead of a 33rd, that completely changes their opportunity coming in this race.
And Jeff, if you're tuning in and you're scratching your head, so, well, why are some cars on the track? Why are not? It's not the normal groups that we talked about. Normally we have Group A, Group B. This is an extended practice. That time in the upper left, you see it 42 minutes. That's because there was a lot of tire issues in the spring. They actually brought the same tire back, kind of by design. The drivers wanted it, the teams wanted it, but they wanted to give everybody more practice. I think some teams just want the track to get kind of rubbered in and ready to go, and they show their confidence by not going out right away.
Just utilizing that time as they see fit. Here is the Hendrick Chevrolet of Kyle Larson, a winner here in Bristol. He sits 26 points above the cut line, 9th in the playoff standings. As we say good afternoon to Kip Coon. Kip.
Good afternoon, Lee. And this is by design the reason we're not seeing the Joe Gibbs Racing camp on track yet. All the crew chiefs told me on that team that they wanted to wait and then get on the track after some run repair. Two different races. Whether we'll see a race like the spring where the tires are wearing egregiously, and one where maybe it was like the fall and they won't wear as much. So, Steve, from you and with all the uncertainty of this weekend, how much more work did that make for these crew chiefs throughout the week?
So I don't know if it's more work during the week than it is more sleepless nights towards the end of the weekend, because what are you preparing for? Bristol's always a challenge, but the challenge is what you see right here on board, right? You see the high banks, you see the chaos. This is Bristol. It's very hard to be good around here at both ends of the racetrack, to be good at the bottom, to be good at the top. And now some of this question mark about the tires and how long they'll hold on the car, and whether I'm setting up the car for tire life or whether that's up to the driver. There's just a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to me. The 17 car, Chris Buescher, he jumped to the top of the racetrack, 14 laps on his tires. About the 11th lap, he's standing like, if I go to the top, what does my tire wear look like? Because his pace has fallen off. The 21 got by him, has driven completely by him. The 77, though, he has not been able to get by. So What is he learning by being up there? Is this a calculated play? It's not just about how fast I can go, but what does the tire wear look like?
Last Sunday, Watkins Glen, that finish will go down in history. An incredible one. It came a little late as far as getting this man here, Chris Buescher, into the playoffs, but nonetheless, it was a win and a phenomenal win. There's the moment where Shane Van Gisbergen made that error where he just tapped the Armco barrier and up to put himself off balance, opened up an opportunity for Buescher, and Chris was ready to pounce. Epic win. Was talking to his crew chief, Scott Graves, earlier today. He said the team did celebrate midweek with a nice team get together and a magical moment. And to have both, when you get maybe multiple victories for one car, but when you get both cars or all three cars winning, it's a huge accomplishment in a single season.
Well, for sure. And we've seen RFK building to this, right? You started seeing signs when Brad first went there. You started seeing a little bit of signs of improvement, but it took a little while. Buescher winning a lot of races last year. Brad winning this year. Both cars winning, and that's a great sign because that means you're starting to do it consistently. And they're building that program for sustainability. They can be good this year, but also 5 years from now, I think you're going to see this team be a threat into the future. They have a great foundation. Jack Roush built a great foundation. A winner knows how to do it, and then changes. Brad coming in, helped it make it. It has a very bright future.
Here's the 24 of William Byron. Second at the moment. He's turned 23 laps. So good work, nice and early. And making the most of this 45-minute session. Williams sits in 10th in the playoff standings. We'll talk more about that in a moment as we're up and away. Laps being turned here at Bristol. Practice will continue.
About 7.5 minutes into this 45-minute full practice session here this weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series. Ryan Blaney has ran the quickest time so far, the 15.472. It was on his second lap. That was an average speed of 124.018 miles per hour. Kyle Larson, 15 one-thousandths of a second off of that in second. Third for William Byron, Bubba Wallace fourth, and Chase Briscoe rounds out the top five. In sixth is Ty Gillen, Carson Hocevar seventh, his teammate Corey LaJoie eighth. Ty Gibbs 9th and Justin Haley 10th. That is our top 10. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 11th, Austin Cindric 12th, Brad Keselowski 13th, Harrison Burton 14th, Alex Bowman 15th, Eric Jones 16th, 17th for Michael McDowell, Daniel Hemrick 18th, Chase Elliott 19th, Ross Chastain 20th. 21st, Zane Smith, John Nemechek 22nd, Chris Buescher 23rd, AJ Allmendinger 24th, Joey Logano 25th, Christopher Bell 26th, Martin Truex Jr. 27th, Kaz Grella 28th, Austin Dillon 29th, Tyler Reddick 30th. 31st for Josh Berry, Kyle Busch 32nd. 33rd, Noah Gragson, and only 33 cars have so far hit the racetrack. So still a few more have not made any laps yet, as we are again about 8 to 8.5 minutes into this practice session. Many laps are going to be turned in this full 45-minute session here this weekend. I would not be shocked if we end up seeing some drivers hit triple digits in practice as far as how many laps they have ran. They do get multiple sets of tires to try to do so. So we'll see how that all factors out. Xavi Dayro Racer, JoJo, Emogene Blevins, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the first in the chat down below. Appreciate you guys watching on this Friday afternoon. A little Fast Friday action for NASCAR here today. And a live commentary double coverage for today's Bristol Motor Speedway action. Of course, this practice qualifying stream now currently airing on KRC. We will also have full coverage for the Xfinity Series race later tonight, as our coverage for that one will begin at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time with our full flag-to-flag coverage. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be back at the racetrack again this weekend, and we'll get to see what he can do tonight for his own Junior Motorsports. Led laps late at the Bristol race last season. Had a good run at a fire in the cockpit in the last 20 laps while still running top 5, and unfortunately had to pull off the racetrack, ended up DNFing, but had a very fast race car. We've seen that 88 car have good runs this year. Connor Zillich winning in that car just a week ago at Watkins Glen in his first career start. And Travis Kvapil and his son of Carson Kvapil has had a few top 5 finishes in the handful of starts he has also ran so far this year, and some of those on short tracks.
Biggest selection of t-shirts, die casts, and a whole lot more. Visit NASCAR.com/shop. Check out this while we were away. Look at the 8 of Kyle Busch, the 45 of Tyler Reddick.
Ooh.
That's a little close for comfort, Jeff, during practice. Yeah,
I'm not sure the halfback was exactly accurate there. Kyle Busch just turned it down with Tyler Reddick. Practice.
Let me throw this one at you, Stevie. Say 6-7 races. Given his history here, what do you think about the 8's chances tomorrow night?
Well, before practice started, I had him circled on my list. You know, this is a guy that's won 19 races in a row, or excuse me, 19 years in a row at the Cup. I'm looking for 20. I know he wanted to make the playoffs. That was unable to happen. And you really mentioned it. Since the Olympic break, RCR has had really good pace. And Kyle Busch at Bristol, I mean, 35 starts, 8 wins. That's just in Cup. He's over 20 wins. If you double header, triple header, I mean, you name it, he's done it here. So I can't think of a better track for him to kind of break this winless trail.
At the spring race, we talked about all the tire issues. He was having right rear tire issues. Others were having right front, some both on the right side. He actually spun out twice in that race with tire issues. And it just shows you, one of the best at this racetrack ever.
Let's talk about Ryan Blaney for a moment. It was a nightmare weekend last weekend in Watkins Glen, but the 12 is fueled by frustration. He is currently at the top of the order on the best 5, best 10, and best 15 lap runs, setting the pace and looking to make up for what went down last weekend when he was taken out of the race on lap 1, lost 16 points in his playoff standings. So watch for the reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion to come out swinging tomorrow night.
Well, and I hate to say it, but Ryan Blaney's signature at Bristol kind of matches that. Great cars, leads laps, and gets caught up in other people's issues. I mean, that just seems to be a little bit of the 12 signature. His pace, though, as you pointed out, very impressive.
Wallace, he's out there. He has 46 laps on his tires. He, Larson, and William Byron, Keselowski, all about the same number of laps. Bowman at 47.
Again, it's 45 minutes of practice, open practice, no groups. You can choose when and how much you want to do out there before we ease our way into the qualifying. Set the field for tomorrow night's race here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Chase Briscoe in 14. He's one of these drivers that, if anybody had the Glen that they needed short of winning, it was Chase Briscoe. He had tough luck in Atlanta getting caught up in that Kyle Larson accident. He came into Watkins Glen all the way down near the bottom, and he raced his way above the cut line, being 6 above currently. Type performance at Chase Briscoe.
And keep in mind, too, what he's got on his mind, right? Twins on the way. And when are they going to arrive?
I wonder if that, it definitely adds to the stress, but is it a good distraction of the pressure of the playoffs, right? When he's in the car, I'm sure he's 100% race car driver, but when he's out of the car, monumental moment of his life that should be a priority. And does that help him kind of compartmentalize what happens on the racetrack? Maybe can stay on the racetrack.
Well, let's wind back a couple of weeks to Darlington when he gave us that move that got him into the playoffs. Look at this. How decisive was that? It was electrifying.
That was a great move. And then did an incredible job, fighting Kyle Busch off. So you talked about Kyle Busch trying. Since then, what a great job. Really good racing. A lot of people had him out. No way he was going to advance into the next round of the playoffs, and they've been solid.
check in with Kim and talk some Team Penske. What you got?
Yeah, Austin Cindric, they just pulled that first set of tires off. Remember, they get 2 sets. They look decent to me. You're seeing the shot of the tire that just came off Austin Cindric's car. And so, nothing major in terms of tires. But remember, we didn't see tire issues in the early practice in the spring. So, is this indicative of what we're going to see in the race? There's still a lot of questions to be answered.
That's actually a lot of rubber left on these tires, but that's a great point, Steve, is that, going into the spring race, we had no idea what was getting ready to happen. It was high power, but we did not know that we were going to get the situation that we got. And so such high wear.
And I actually believe that, this is what's going to kind of just make heads explode. Same Goodyear tire, same racetrack. And when you come back the second time, you're going to get different results. And I just, some guys could have tire wear issues, but I just don't believe it's going to be a rash through the field. These crew chiefs have a lot of tools. To your point, Jeff, they weren't worried about tire wear in the spring. So they didn't set their car up, think that was going to be a deciding factor in the race. Coming back, I think we're going to see a much, I'll say it's a cleaner race here when it comes to tire wear.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, Steve, because amongst the crew chiefs I talked to this morning, there was a variety of answers I got in terms of what they can do and what effect they have on the tire wear. A lot of crew chiefs said, so much of it is tire and track dependent. We're only really 10% responsible for what we saw in the spring, the camber changes we can, but that threatens the pace of the race car. The more we adjust camber and things to make the tires last longer, the more pace we pull out of the car. So I guess it just depends on which crew chiefs you want to believe on what the story is.
That doesn't surprise me. That there's varying opinions down in the garage area. I think that the crew chiefs, they definitely have knobs to turn. They're just some knobs they don't want to turn because they take speed out of the race car. But I will say, we've been coming here a long time, running the bottom with this sprayed racetrack. And the top seems to be coming in way sooner in practice than it has any other time. It's going to be interesting to see what that looks like over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, you can see a slight color variation on that low line of about 4 feet where the resin was spread as we are racing in the beautiful state of Tennessee this weekend. It's great to be at Bristol. I'm happy to say it's my first time to Bristol. I'm excited.
Ryan Blaney's still fastest overall. He's ran 43 laps so far, and his fastest lap was on lap 2. Haven't seen anybody pull out a newer, fresher set of tires during this practice run, because everybody's fastest lap during this session has been in their first 10 laps. All 37 cars have hit the racetrack so far. Josh Bilicki, the only non-chartered entry for this weekend. He's in the 66 for MBM. But 37 cars are on the racetrack, or have been on the racetrack if they aren't currently out there as of this moment. Ryan Blaney fastest overall. Kyle Larson is second. William Byron third. 6th. Carson Hocevar 7th. Corey LaJoie 8th. Ty Gibbs 9th. Justin Haley 10th. So that is our top 10 at the moment. About 20 minutes into this 45-minute full practice session, you're listening live on KRC. Innings during the next full screen commercial break. As of right now, we'll hold off on that. Hopeful, thanks for tuning in. Yep, CW is going to be hosting the Xfinity race tonight. It is the regular season finale for the Xfinity series, and their final 8 races will be on the CW this year, as well as next season's races also going to be on the CW. Let me know if the stream has had any lagging problems, because OBS at least is popping up that it keeps this. Yeah, it's definitely a stream lag. Let's see here. Sorry if there is a major stream lag going on right now.
Straight away. After that, there'll be a brief break before we go into quali mode as we look at a Bristol winner in Joey Logano in the Shell Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske. He's also the man who won in Atlanta to guarantee him getting through to the next round. So the round of 12, let's take you back to Atlanta, and what a win it was.
Now, what a great race. On a push and shove in. These rapid racetracks have been really good this year. Surprise winners. And their teammates working together. Logano making it happen. But Joey, when the playoffs get going, he's a different guy. I mean, as a champion, knows how to win. And I think he loves the pressure, loves the big moment.
And he loves the pressure being on. With that win,
Loves that more.
go to Watkins then and go to Bristol and just have a good time trying to win the race. You may remember the story we shared with you prior to the playoffs getting going, where Jeff, Steve, myself, Marty Snyder had the opportunity to sit down with all 16 playoff drivers. And overwhelmingly, like if there was, say, you just picked 3 as far as being calm, not overly confident, just calm. Like, yeah, I got it. I know what to expect. He was one of them.
Well, at the bottom of the playoff grid at -20, the 21 of Harrison Burton with that big win at Daytona. But I'll tell you, when I look at the laps today, I think the 21 has brought a car that they can fight with. So, when I look at longer runs, he's 14th on 1 lap speed. He's running a total of 40 laps. And this is the type of place that if Harrison was going to Kansas 20 behind, man, that's a tall task because a lot of cars are going to finish. The big teams are going to have raw speed. Now, when you come here, Hamlin, Keselowski, Truex finished 1, 2, 3 in this race in the spring, but there's potential chaos, and when I look at Harrison, maybe as the little kid I used to watch run late models, but he strikes me as that short track racer. When you come back with it, it puts the pressure on some of these other guys. They're playoffs. I mean, you come into get the checkered in Atlanta, running 12th, 13th, 14th, get in the wreck last week on a little bit different pit cycle, but probably going to run 17th, 18th, and they blow that left rear tire. Like they've brought reasonable speed to the playoffs, but now coming here in the position they're in, Steve, I think, I don't know that reasonable is going to be enough. That's the point. It's the chaos, right? And that is, they're hoping for tire issues. They're hoping for things to happen to other people.
Yeah, guys hoping for just a calm day. Chase Elliott, right? 30 above. Here we say just a quiet.
Like he moved up one position last weekend. He gained some more points, so he's in a comfy spot.
It's really been a quiet year. He was Mr. Consistent forever. Couldn't find his way out of the top 20. It took all the way to Chicago street course and a little run in with Daniel Suarez in the last corner to find his way outside the top 20. And this is one of those guys that could just stay this way and find his way to the round 8. Or this is one of those teams that could find something. And that's really what we saw last year with Blaney, right? What we've seen in this format is if you strike fire at the right time, that's everyone's fear. And listen, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, go through the list. Larson, name a driver at this caliber who couldn't figure it out. If the car's there and the team can find some raw speed, these guys will up their game. Really positive start from 2311's Bubba Wallace. He was pleased to let the world know that he's had a contract extension with the organization, so good news for him. But he too, Jeff, looks legitimately solid with 5-lap pace, 10-lap pace, 50. I think this is the guy right here. I think the best car in the field. Lap times may not show it. I don't know if he got caught up in traffic or something around lap 10. He has a little bit of a drop off, but then from lap 18 all the way to lap 51 on the first set of tires, it looked spectacular. I think he's out here now. I don't know if he's changed tires or not. With 20 minutes left, probably did. He's probably going to go run another 50-lap run. When he caught cars, could pass them, could move around.
Now, when he goes to the top, it's full commitment, right? So his first lap, we were running with him, went straight to the top and used every bit of racetrack it wanted to, immediately all the way right against the wall. So other guys kind of walked themselves up to it, but he goes right to it. And that's what you got to do. Like if just go ahead, get in that groove, to get your alignment right on corner entry. You enter low and then go up to the wall. You're not going to learn anything because you're not going to be able to race like that. You just got to go put it there the way Kyle Larson did.
By the conversation about playoff cars, well, last week, monster week for Spire. All 3 cars in the top 10 was awesome. Corey LaJoy, though, in the news just today here at Bristol Motor Speedway, it was a dual announcement between Spire and Rick Ware Racing that this will be the last ride for the 7. He will move to Rick Ware Racing starting in Kansas. Justin Haley will move from Rick Ware Racing to Spire and take over this 7 car. So, coming off a great weekend for the company, driver moves. We knew that Corey wasn't coming back, and the announcement from Rick Ware was that they would drive the remainder of 24. I've read it a few times. I didn't see anything about Corey's plans for 25. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if the next group of races are some sort of test, or maybe they're looking for sponsorship. I don't know the rest of that story, but we know the Justin Haley story. He was at Spire years ago. He left, and now he's going to return. And that's the same color scheme and sponsor on the 7 that was on the 77 last weekend. It was an excellent drive by Carson Hoseval. Talk more about that when we come back.
Still about 17 and a half minutes remaining in the full practice session at the Bristol Motor Speedway. We'll take a look at those point standings then coming into this race. They were highlighting that a little bit over the USA Network broadcast of practice, but we'll reiterate that right here as well. Joey Logano with his win at Atlanta locked into the next round of the playoffs. And, of course, Chris Buescher, a non-playoff driver, winning last weekend at Watkins Glen, means only one driver is currently clinched into the round of 12. So 15 drivers vouching for those final 11 spots Saturday night under the lights at Bristol. Christopher Bell's in the best points, 41 for Alex Bowman. Daniel Suarez plus 36, plus 30 for Tyler Reddick and Chase Elliott, plus 29 for Ryan Blaney, plus 26 for Kyle Larson, William Byron, plus 25, Chase Briscoe, Ty Gibbs, plus 6. They're the last drivers above the cutoff line. So Denny Hamlin's the first driver out at minus 6. Minus 12 points for Brad Keselowski to the cut line. Minus 14 points for Truex behind his teammate Gibbs, and Harrison Burton minus 20 are the 4 drivers that will start Saturday night's race below the cut line, trying to make up points on those drivers. If you win, you do advance, but points racing is going to be huge, and we'll be following that all night long tomorrow, as best as I possibly can during the course of the live commentary stream, that's for sure. Chippy Villador, also thanks for tuning into the stream. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't yet. Our goal is to get to 100 likes on this stream, and we are currently at 31. So be sure to hit that like button if you guys have not done so yet. A little bit of a change in the leaderboard. Differ now. Chase Elliott just jumped up into the top 5. Elliott's best lap at lap 49. And he is now currently 4th quickest. Michael McDowell jumps into the top 10. His fastest lap on lap 55. Bell, lap 52, jumps to 13th. Now, on lap 53, he jumps to 6th. So we're starting to see lap times change the leaderboard at the top of the screen. Again, mixture of drivers still on their first set, and now the second set potentially going on for.
But just this dark cloud keeps following him around, and it came back last weekend at Watkins Glen. When they had a good car, they had good pace. So this track typically hasn't been great for Martin. However, just look at the spring race, and it was a lot better, Jeff, with a runner-up spot.
Yeah, Mark should. The thing is, though, it's not speed. Right? They have enough speed to get done what they need to get done, but they cannot execute a full race. Not all of their doing, but nonetheless, it's all about results. And the speed's fine, Steve, but got to find a way to prevent getting into wrecks, etc.
Well, you mentioned it. Let's look back just in Atlanta, right? Here's the 19, kind of literally minding his own business. The 17 gets loose. It's the 19. You're on board right here. You know, it looks like, you know, not a ton of damage, but it was enough to end the day. And then here he is just trying to make his way. Locks up the tires, avoiding the wrecks, and get run over. Man, it's just not the year for the 19. You know that side slap at Atlanta. He said it did look like that bend the front.
Oh yeah, that was like it was one of those deceiving ones where it was more than what it appeared to me, and they've had kind of one thing happen after another. Um, but they would like to, the 19 team would like to eradicate it. At the end of the day, it's got to happen tomorrow night for Mark Truex Jr. Even though he had a rough weekend last weekend, ironically, he gained 5 more points, but he still sits 14th below the cut line. Well, we've learned that whatever that number is, you can't be comfortable. And I have a little bit of fear below the playoff drivers. Comes in great, comes in 5th, 36 above. You would think that should be more than enough, but the 99 is 35th in speed right now. And I know one lap doesn't tell the whole story, but this is a track where if you can't run one good lap, you're in qualifying. I know these aren't qualifying laps, right? They're going to make adjustments. But if you start, that's what Denny Hamlin said, right? He wrecked on the first lap at Watkins Glen. And then when he was interviewed after, he said it was my fault. I put us back there in qualifying. That's what happened. That is my point about the 99, right? The one lap speed. If he doesn't qualify well and gets caught up in somebody else's miss, that's how you lose 36 points. If you run into the later stages of the race, you should be okay. Suarez and the 99 team from Trackhouse did a really great job last weekend when you consider he brought out one of those cautions. He was buried in the gravel trap. And then they on the track. They got here. Decent result. Debris turn 4, we're hearing here. Notebook, wrench, car part. Maybe anything here.
Yeah.
Practice.
Yeah, so while this is going on, on that last run, Ty Gibbs went out and went to the top of the board with a 15:38. He led over 100 laps here in the spring, and all of the Gibbs cars had really good speed. Ty Gibbs was one of those drivers. I watched him. He had a problem. He went to the back. Everybody's slow, saving tires. He just went on the outside, passed everybody, got his track position back, and then was able to stay out there and keep his tires without having a problem. So we keep talking about the playoffs. We keep talking about the opportunities for drivers to get their first win. But what I saw here in the spring, I think the Gibbs cars have a great chance to win this race. That guy in particular, it's only a matter of time. And to be able to go out late in this practice and lay a lap time like that, and then the times he was making on those runs, I think that car may be even better than the 5 car right now.
Well, Harrison Burton going to do it tomorrow night here.
About 10 minutes remaining still in practice under caution for debris off turn 4. Should be a pretty quick yellow, I would imagine. Right before the caution came out, Ty Gibbs jumped to the top of the leaderboard on his 52nd lap. He has ran down 58. Most laps we've seen anybody run, it looks like Bubba Wallace has ran 79. Austin Cindric has ran 86. Noah Gragson 82 laps. 90 laps for Zane Smith. So those are some of the drivers that have ran pretty high lap totals, and a lot of those on the first set of tires that they have ran. Green flag conditions back out, so quick yellow again just to get the debris off the track from turn 4. Ty Gibbs is fast right now overall in practice. Ryan Blaney 2nd, Kyle Larson 3rd, William Byron 4th, Chase Elliott is 5th. 6th for Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell 7th, Chase Briscoe in 8th, Todd Gilliland 9th, Carson Hocevar is 10th. Corey LaJoie at 11th, Michael McDowell 12th, Martin Truex Jr. 13th, Justin Haley 14th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 15th, Austin Cindric 16th, 17th for Brad Keselowski, Harrison Burton 18th, Alex Bowman 19th, and Eric Jones 20th. Daniel Hemrick 21st, AJ Allmendinger 22nd, Chris Buescher 23rd, Ross Chastain 24th, Noah Gragson 25th, Tyler Reddick 26th, Zane Smith 27th, John Hunter Nemechek 28th, Denny Hamlin 29th, and Austin Dillon 30th. 31st now, Zane Smith. Looks like Reddick moves up to 30th. John Hunter Nemechek 32nd. 33rd for Josh Berry, Ryan Preece 34th, Kaz Gralla 35th, Daniel Suarez 36th, and Josh Bilicki 37th. So that is the full field running order for our first and only 45-minute practice session. Full field practice, full practice open for every car to hit the racetrack whenever they choose to do. But we will have group qualifying coming up as soon as this session ends. You're listening live on KRC. for the Bass Pro Shops Bristol Night Race practice session. Again, qualifying coming up shortly.
Here at Bristol Motor Speedway, and you're looking at the 48 from Hendrick Motorsports, Alex Byman, who is the highest placed Hendrick driver in the playoffs. It has been a nothing but solid and consistent and really impressive playoffs run thus far.
Yeah, remember before the playoffs started, there was a lot of conversation about Alex Bowman maybe lose his ride. And, you know, he came into the media events for the playoffs. Like, look, I talked to him and just done a nice job. One of those teams, again, a lot of people had picked them not to make the next round of playoffs, but they've had good speed and they've executed. Fourth here in the spring.
So there's no reason to not come here with some excitement. That win Chicago Street Race, which is just riveting to watch. He was out there nursing, pushing, hoping on these wet tires, just hoping they had enough grip to get to the finish. Remember, as the track dried, tire grip was going away, and this man, Tyler Reddick, was on pace to catch him. That mistake, hitting that inside wall, sealed the deal. A lot of fans, a lot of people in the sport had lost belief in the 48. Didn't think he'd go back to victory lane. He had recovered from a head injury, a back injury, but he proved to all the naysayers, and I think more importantly, proved to himself. Yeah. We saw some emotion out of Alex Bowman right there when he talked about those injuries, and I think that was one of them. If you know when a driver or a sports figure gets injured, you kind of just move on with the sport. But that figure doesn't. They have to rehab, and they have to come back. Not only the back, but I think the concussion. Fourth here in the spring. Well, he sits fourth in the playoff standings as he works that low line with Brent Keselowski on his outside. What you found, Kimmy? What's shaking?
He's back on track after working the plate down of the car. Rear on entry, running the bottom. He put 2-3 on exit, then both on exit, responding and then he also told the team, we talked about running that high line. He said he hits way down at the Panther window on that playoff standing there, plus 29. Told me they feel like they just need a low average day tomorrow in order to transfer to the round of 12.
You just be careful how average it is, or how above average somebody else performs. Everybody is making the most of these closing minutes. The track is packed. It looks like a race. It does.
We've become so accustomed to having the practice split into two groups, and when they all get out there at the same time, it's chaotic out there. I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's when I was a driver, I would way prefer it to be like this. This sounds going to be tomorrow night.
Christopher Bell, I think there's some people that had his name circled. You mentioned how good the Gibbs cars were here in the spring. Well, Christopher Bell's, having 46 above. So while he's not mathematically guaranteed, he could make it a mathematical surface with a couple good stages. Remember last week there was that moment of awkwardness where there was a collision between. Christopher later explained that he got a call late to come to the pits, and he was trying to get across it. And both you and Jeff called it spot on. He was trying to come across, and he said he doesn't think that Austin saw his hand out the window, gesturing that he was going to go to pit lane, and the two collided, and that turned the 20 around right on pit entry there. So that's what I'm discussing here for us. We've talked a lot about people and talked about a lot about the world's fastest half mile. Well, let's remind the fan. Pit road on the front stretch and the back stretch. Under yellow is just one big long pit road. You enter off turn 2, you ride all the way around this place, you exit off turn 1. But under green, you only have to run your straightaway. And normally it's not a big deal, but in the spring with all those tire issues, Jeff, there were cars pitting. Everywhere you look, there were cars slowing down, accelerating, decelerating. So those aren't normally the things I would probably go through in practice. But if I was one of these crew chiefs, I would be reminding the drivers, hey, we think we're going to pick it on the front or the back. Take a look at this. This is how you commit under green. Make sure they're well aware of the rules.
That's so important. Spotter, crew chief, driver, to all be in complete understanding of the rules. The other thing that happens here, Steve, is when the caution comes out from all night, the driver's talking to the crew chief about, hey, I need to do this to my car, I need to do that. you got to say it and stop talking. Like, say it quickly because they're going to open pit road. And if you're not paying attention, you can miss it. Everything happens quicker here.
Crew chiefs on pit road, checking out the data, drivers. Let me tell you about these gloves, these really cool gloves that you see many of the drivers wearing, and across the 3 series of that have and will race here at Bristol Motor Speedway this weekend. It's all got to do with the Dale Jr. Foundation, and it's the 2024 Driven to Give Love program benefiting the Dale and Amy Earnhardt Fund at the Nationwide Children's Hospital. So well done to those drivers participating. It gives us a cool look.
And what a great weekend.
And it's
Dale's
for a
got a
great
big,
cause.
well, it's a great cause. Dale does wonderful things with his foundation. His foundation event is coming up just next Tuesday. He has everybody to his Westertown of all places. And it's a charity event. It's a little bit different than most because it's not really a black tie affair. A lot of great things with this foundation.
We walked into the track together today. We walked out of the tunnel and across the track together, and he ran down the track and he said, "Let's go!" Like he was happy to be back, knowing that he was going to be in a race car.
It's going to be fun to watch later tonight, no doubt.
Fall rubber on the old bumper camera for Martin Truex Jr. here, I believe, on board with.
I'm going to tell you what, look at the color of the racer. You can think about how different it looks now compared from the bottom to the top. And this is something, see, we would come here years ago, and this is what it would look like. Then it went away for several years where the rubber wouldn't get laid down. Now it's starting to lay down again, and look at the difference.
This is setting up beautifully for tomorrow night, isn't it?
Oh, I love this racetrack, and when you add the playoffs to it with all of it is magic. What makes this special is, and I think it came up in our production meeting for the Xfinity Series, and our Hall of Famer Dale Jarrett said it the best. He said, "Everyone knows they have to keep their cool, and no one can do it." Talking about the drivers, and I'm like, "That's it. That's Bristol, right? It is." You know, I explained it to somebody earlier today. I feel like racing at Bristol is like playing an entire football game in a 2-minute drill. There are no breaks. There's no huddles. There's no timeouts. It's on you all the time. If you're having a bad car, they're attacking. Even under yellow, you said it, Jeff. Pit road opens right away. You just have no time to kind of take a breath.
It's not about to happen. It's happening.
It's happening. Yeah, if you're waiting for it to happen, you're getting left behind.
And the clock counts down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's practice. And some really good workloads out there. Several drivers hitting triple digit lap count. William Byron, 111 laps. So some good work put in there and valuable information in this cutoff race in the playoffs. Joey Logano set the stage in Atlanta. It was a wild one-hit win. It was a non-playoff driver that won that one. Now this one going to play out tomorrow night under the lights.
Ty Gibbs tops the speed charts in practice. Again, the full fit, no further incidents outside of that. And as practice has concluded, we'll have single car qualifying coming up here shortly. Group qualifying, as usual, top 5 from Group A and Group B will transfer into the second and final round of qualifying following that to have a shot to go for the pole. And our Group A drivers, and this is also the order in which they will qualify in Group A, we'll start things off with Kaz. John Henry Nemechek will be the 5th car out. Todd Gillen 6th, Ryan Preece 7th, Noah Gragson 8th, and Michael McDowell 9th. Those will be the first 9. And because this is a track that is 1 mile and less in length, there will be 2 qualifying laps. You can choose to run 1, but 2 of them will be available per session. So you have 2 laps to try to set the quickest time you can, try to get up into the top 5. And just like usual with qualifying and how it has been, well, at least we only saw it at Atlanta, of course, the time qualifying for Watkins Glen with it being a road course last week, but all the play. Now, when we get into the final round of qualifying, obviously it'll still be in descending order in which they had qualified in their groups 5 through 1. Patrick Chatterley, Wade, thanks for tuning in as well here today. Again, be sure to hit that like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content. Practices concluded. Qualifying just about to begin. Right here on KRC. Take a quick break and then, yeah, we'll get things started with qualifying here very shortly. Keep having issues with OBS and the frame rate dropping, so I did try to log out of OBS there just a second ago and log back in, so hopefully any lagging issues we may have had during qualifying are going to disappear. So you have to let me know if the viewing experience will get better by the time we get this qualifying session started.
Been an exceptional season, and you'll see it tomorrow night, Sunday on network television on NBC.
And it doesn't look like it works.
Eastern. It has been a phenomenal year, and it all comes to a close. The champion will be crowned tomorrow, and we'll continue that championship theme here because the playoff drivers are highlighted in yellow, and Tyke Gibbs, the best of the bunch after a 45-minute practice session. What makes that lap even more impressive for me is he kind of did in the middle of practice, put another set of tires on. Did that. We don't normally see that, Jeff. Normally the start of practice is the fastest.
Yeah, that's right. Not only is Ty Gibbs fast will run one lap, he's also fast for a long run. We believe the 54 and the 5 car, the two cars that stood out as the best.
That's practice done. Qualifying is not far away. Set the field for an all-important cutoff race tomorrow night.
I'm not sure if the track is going to get swept up in between the practice session and the qualifying session or not. Any of the loose rubber that's out there might get the sweepers on the track. I guess that'll be up to the teams and the drivers on whether they want NASCAR to do that or not. Alrighty. Once again, Kaz Gralla will be the first driver to qualify, followed by Justin Haley, Austin Dillon, Eric Jones, and John Henry Nemechek, Ty Gillen, Ryan Preece, Noah Gregson, and Michael McDowell. Those are the first 9 drivers to make a qualifying lap or 2. Again, up to 2 qualifying laps here at Bristol, with this being a short track. We're up to 39 likes on the stream right now, I do believe. Let me refresh that. Yeah, 39 is what I'm showing on here. Xfinity Series race coverage later on tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Definitely went by quickly, and I would imagine that Xfinity race, even though it is an extra 100 laps, going to be a relatively quick one for them as well. Especially if we get a lot of longer green flag runs like we did in the truck race. Only a couple of cautions for incident in the truck event yesterday. And we saw the outside lane start to widen out quite a bit in that truck race, which we usually don't see. And rubber being laid down throughout the full 45-minute practice session for the Cup Series as well leads me to believe we're probably going to see a similar race tomorrow. Or, well, not only tomorrow in the Cup race, but also tonight in the Xfinity race, where we're going to see a lot of drivers move into that middle to upper groove a lot earlier in the race. And that will more than likely become the preferred line by the finish. It's going to make passing a lot harder to come by on the inside lane the further along we.
Hey, racing. Tyler Reddick from 2311. Track out of Daniel Suarez. And Harrison Burt for the Wood Brothers. And Stuart Haas Racing's Chase Briscoe. So you've got those big groupings of teammates, and then you've got those solo operators as well. But there will be 4 that don't make the cut tomorrow night. As we join Kim Coon. Kim?
Yeah, Ryan Blaney, second fastest outright speed, but then on 10 and 15 lap averages, top of the board. There were a lot of questions heading into practice about the tire. Did you guys get them answered?
Yeah, I think so. It was nice we moved around. And I was able to run the top and be on the bottom, and didn't have that in the spring. We were just kind of married to the bottom, so that was good. So it gives you a little bit better idea of what to expect in the race. Because we're going to get up there in the race. But my car felt decent both sides. It's just trying to figure out how much is it going to continue to rubber. Through our race, especially. It always kind of over rubbers, and then you have to figure out, do I need to go back down the bottom or can I move back up again? It's a funky place, but Ford Mustangs Fast, I appreciate the Worth group for being with us again. Fun place, fun night racing tomorrow night, and going good so far.
For this session, what level of commitment do you have to give this track?
Yeah, it's a lot of commitment. I talk about commitment at like high speed places like Michigan and Dover. But this place, even though you're not going as fast, it's just as much commitment. You just feel like you're staring 5 feet in front of the windshield or the hood the whole time, and super fast getting in the corner and just hope it sticks. So I'm not 100% sure where we'll qualify. I'm pretty sure to be on the bottom. So you just try not to miss the line and hope you're big commitment level.
You're plus 29 to the elimination line, looking in a good spot, especially after last week not completing a lap. How do you refocus after what happened at Watkins Glen?
Yeah, I mean, last week definitely stunk for us. I think we're still fortunate to be where we are on points. And that was just a product of having a good race at Atlanta, and doing good in the stages and finishing well. And, we were able to get out of the Glen with a little bit of issues. So, this team was focused right after the Glen race. Right after it was over, we saw where we were at, and we're looking forward to Bristol. So that's what I love about this group is they don't fester on things that we had no control over or what's in the past. You just move on and refocus your mind to the next task and what's the next job. And this group has definitely done that.
That's defending Cup Series champion Ryan Blaney.
I like the commitment conversation because he said it the best. Right? You go to Michigan, see 200 miles an hour. I think everyone can understand, at those speeds, how committed you have to be. Dover kind of is the monster as its nickname, but if Dover is the monster, this isn't far away because it takes everything. Somebody say it's like fighter pilots in a gymnasium, right? It's not just the speed, it's the confines that make it kind of all in totality so much for the driver to figure out. You tell me, Dick, you took laps in the pace car. What'd you think about it?
Well, now man Jip very generously took us around again. It was terrific. It was fantastic. It's one of those places where you think you know what to expect, but until you come here and see it for real, it blows your mind.
To get this qualifying session started, so I'd imagine it'll probably end right around 6-ish, 6:30. We'll see how we blow through this. Still have about 2.5 hours until we get into the Xfinity Series race later on tonight. And again, our coverage will begin at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll make sure we hopefully don't have any lagging issues. I would assume that that's the only reason I don't have, or that I do have a lag right now. So sorry if anybody has been experiencing that throughout the stream. I can't really reboot the internet at the moment without losing the stream entirely, so I don't want to do that to you guys. It does seem like it's more on a periodic basis than constant. So I hope that will continue to be the case at worst. John Barber, thanks for tuning in. Where's Harrison Burton going next year? I personally think he'll be back down in the Xfinity Series, but we'll wait and see. There's not really much available, though, on the Cup level. And if he does go to Xfinity, I feel like, maybe there's a chance he ends back at JGR. We know Brandon Jones is going back there next year, but I think they would still have, another ride available if they choose to put him in it. Remember, they have 2 cars this year that are being ran by part-time drivers. They only have 2 full-time entries. The next year will be 3 full-time entries as of right now, so maybe there's a chance he goes there. If not, I almost wonder maybe, Junior Motorsports will have an entry too. He's never been with Chevrolet as far as his coming up until he got to the Cup Series, and really had never been with Ford until he went to Wood Brothers. Yeah, I was also asked in the chat about qualifying lap average of the 2 laps score. No, it's just 2 laps, fastest one of the 2 will be the lap taken. Qualifying used to be 2 laps everywhere they went up until recent years. Then it was down to 1 lap for most tracks, but short tracks it's still 2. So 2 laps with this being a short track to try to set the qualifying time. And you don't have to run both of them. If you feel the first lap is as good as you can get, then you can run one. Tire management could be interesting here as well. Chase Briscoe standing with Kim Kuhn on pit road.
The bless of the playoff drivers, 43 points earned. I know you guys feel so good about that race. Is momentum real, especially when you're coming to a racetrack that is so different from last weekend?
Yeah, I think hard. I definitely feel like from Darlington, throw Atlanta out, and then add on to Watkins Glen. Like from a momentum standpoint, we feel really good about it. So ride a really good Rush Truck Center's Ford Dark Horse here. It's going to be all about qualifying. The field is so tight, and that's something that we've been really good at here is qualifying. So hopefully, I can do my part. I know the team will do their part here, and if I can do my job, it'll put us in a really good position for tomorrow night. So that's what we'll try to do.
In practice, we saw cars all over the racetrack. Do you have options here?
I do think you could maybe sneak around the top and maybe do something. I think for us, it's a little too risky. And plus, our car is just for whatever reason way better on the bottom right now. So I'm definitely going to be pretty married to the bottom here, but it would not surprise me to see a guy or two, go up there and just see what it does. So yeah, it won't be me though.
And we got to ask his wife, Marissa. They are expecting twins. I know you're on baby watch. Is Marissa watching? How is she?
Yeah, she's watching. So hey, Marissa, hey Brooks. Yeah, she's doing good. She's about to pop. Fortunately, I was able to come here a little later. Rusty Rush, our sponsor this week, flew me over, so we're spending as much time.
All our thoughts are going
Those
out to Marissa.
babies in there,
Brooks, that's his son, about to be a big brother too, a little baby sister and brother.
Yes, well, we hope that it all goes to plan. I think Marissa might want them to come out maybe as soon as possible, though, Chase. We'll see.
Alrighty. George Black, thanks for tuning in as well. If memory serves me correct, I think they did that last year when they had the group qualifying as well. That they would split half in one group and half in another. Especially as we go round by round, there's only an even amount of drivers racing for the championship. From 16 to 12 to 8 to 4. Honestly surprised that we haven't seen qualifying start quite yet, but again, we should be getting into that here pretty shortly. Can't imagine it'd be too much longer. I wonder if there's anything on the NASCAR app to see exactly what time qualifying was supposed to be set to begin today. I would imagine it was just immediately after practice. So I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't taken place yet. Practice has been over for 20 minutes. Ended at about 5:45. It says 5:05 qualifying is supposed to start today. Qualifying. It is currently 5:05 right now, so I'd say any second at this point that we're going to see Kaz Gralla hit the racetrack as the first car to try to set a quick time. Once more, Kaz Gralla starting things off with qualifying. Then we'll have Justin Haley, Austin Dillon, Eric Jones, John Hunter Nemechek, Todd Gillen, Ryan Preece, Noah Gregson, Michael McDowell. So we go straight through this gauntlet. Getting the Group A drivers lined up as of right now on the front stretch of pit road. I'm not sure if all these teams during practice was pitted on the front stretch or if they were split half and half, like they would be for the race. Yeah, Martin Truex Jr. finished second to his teammate Denny Hamlin here in the spring. Ty Gibbs fastest in practice. Remember, Gibbs won the first two stages of that race as well, had good short run speed, struggled to manage his tires on the long run compared to his teammates, which ultimately was despite having the speed in the race car. But if we don't see as much tire fall off here this weekend, which kind of seemed to be the case for practice, what is that going to lead for the race tomorrow? Because if there isn't as much tire fall off and you don't have to manage your tires as much over the course of the long run, and we see a Bristol night race like we've seen the last couple of years with the next gen car, that's going to make qualifying here today that much more important than what it was looking like earlier in the spring. Denny Hamlin also on pit road for an interview.
Yeah, certainly after 10, 15 laps, I was pretty happy with it. Needs some short run fire off speed, but obviously qualifying we got 2 laps, so we'll try to get after it the best we can, and certainly like my car once we got going.
As you look at this race, minus 6 points, you can win here. Does that change your approach though, being under the elimination line versus if you were to come here above it?
No, not really. I mean, certainly the more offensive and at that point, that's usually when you can score.
I think offensive in Atlanta would have been if you could go back and do anything just right. And they kind of rode around there, and it just didn't work for Denny. So it's not a crazy thought. And I've heard a lot of comments. Even our own Kyle Petty didn't like the 20-point comment. But I do understand where Denny's saying about analytics, right? With the points he ran into this round, he scores 20, 20, 20, 60 points over the 3 races. And I do agree with Denny that he advances. I just think in hindsight, Jeff, the approach to score 20 points didn't match up with the type of Atlanta race that we saw.
He simply went into Atlanta lacking confidence that goes what had happened at the Jackson racetracks prior.
Right.
He just didn't think he could get the point. So he decided to play at that. And, look, the only thing that matters is how they come out of this round. If he comes out of this round and advances, then he was right. And maybe we don't know what would have happened if he'd have been in the front. Maybe he got wrecked and would have gotten less points. We don't know.
Off track, first car for qualifying. Kaz Gralla for Rick Ware Racing qualifying format here, not just 1 lap, 2 laps. It's your best lap that counts. The chaos in the sprint cup. Kaz Gralla finished 19th in his only start in Bristol.
And ran well in that race. He finished 19th, but I think he actually ran better than that a lot of the time. He was in the mix.
I think that's consistent. What are we expecting? First lap or second lap? I asked you because I didn't dare say because I didn't know. So I just gonna ask Jim.
I think one thing that I'm curious to see, will anyone use, here you go. This is what I wanted to see. This is what I thought would happen. Use the top of the racetrack coming to get the green flag. On time now.
Justin Haley in the one, as reported earlier. Will be driving the 7 at Spire Motorsports, starting in Kansas.
That's fast in practice.
Yes. Finished
12th back in 2022 here at Bristol. There you go, 15:50. Fastest lap we saw in all of practice was Ty Gibbs at a 38. So Hanley is kind of teasing with it right now. We apologize. The telemetry's down to show you advance ahead or behind. This lap looked really nice, just a little bit slower. Well done, Justin Haley. Big day. Faced plenty of questions from the media earlier with the press conference announcing the driver swap between Rick Ware Racing and Spire Motorsports. As Austin Dillon rolls out on the track. Great night race car right here. I love it.
3 top 10s at Bristol. This team, remember Richmond. Remember how well they ran. A lot of controversy clearly about the end. But think about the speed they had. They were leading that race so that caution came out. Now coming to another short track, Steve, you wonder how much confidence, although completely different, still a short track, how much confidence Richmond gave them for a race like this.
Lap 1 of 55. Which is about what Justin Haley ran on his second lap. So let's see if it's an improvement on lap 2 for the 3. Clock tells us as Austin Dillon gets to the line, and it was not, so he stays at that 15:55. Justin Haley stays on the top, and there are multiple cars with the Bass Pro Shops logo. It is the Bass Pro night race here at Bristol tomorrow night. And you can see there, Noah Gregson with the hood, Mark Truex Jr. both hood and side, same as Austin Dillon.
Hey, Johnny Morris, Jeff, just wanted to give your eyesight a test on the lights of Bristol. Make sure you get them all and put them all straight. Xfinity wins, finished second here, 4 top 5s and coming. Loves coming here.
Ooh, a little wiggle.
See short track qualifying. A 50, a 55, and a 55, right? They're going to just be so big moments right there.
Yeah, he wiggled on the other end of the track, too.
Back of the car just kind of let loose, trying to find a little more pace. Back of the car didn't have the grip. Oh, wait. There you go, down in the corner, and just around the back comes. Yeah, that's wild. You think about 10 feet, 10, maybe 3 feet, and that changes the car. Teammate John Hunter Nemechek now on track.
Look at that difference between second and third at the moment. 1/1000th of a second to Stephen Point. Super close. Gonna get a feel for what John Hunter Nemechek's got here. First lap. There you go, leapfrogs Casgralla. And again, another 1/1000th of a second.
That first lap wasn't clean, though. I think there might be some more speed in this car this time, right around the yellow lines. Let's see if it's better. Yes.
Nicely done. Leapfrogs his way up to second as we join Kim.
And Christopher Bell has finished top 10 in the last 3 Bristol. Races. As we look at qualifying, though, how much easier can your day be made with a top 10 starting position here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be pretty important to have track position, but I'm just happy that the track rubbered up and we get to race and race hard. So whenever Bristol's like this is my favorite track on the schedule. I'm watching.
Happy Christopher Bell means a good racetrack. Christopher currently plus 46 in the playoffs to the elimination line.
On the track, and what he's talking about there is the rubber, the car's moving around. It sounds like he feels that tire wear isn't going to be an issue. He's going to be able to just go hard, not be held back by his crew chief.
Keep your eyes on the graphic, bottom right of your screen. It's green for Gilliland at the moment.
This could be all winning speed. Let's see what happens. There you go. So far, fastest time.
First into the 15.4 range in this portion of qualifying anyway. Todd Gilliland at Front Row Motorsports to the top.
Like I said, pole winning speed. I mean, at the time, I don't think that's going to do it for overall fast time. A lot of good cars left to go.
Next up, it's Ryan Preece for Stuart Haas.
Ryan Preece, one of the SHR drivers. I think we're kind of all waiting to hear where he's going to run. Remember, Stuart Haas Racing closing at the end of the year. Kind of got some of the pathways for drivers and crew chiefs. Ryan Preece not one of them currently. Great lap right here against Gralla. We'll put him all the way in the top. To your point, Jeff, a 48 hundredths of a second faster than Gilliland. First Stuart Haas car, so to go out. So everybody on that team is waiting to debrief, see what they can learn from this lap.
How about that? Great speed. Good run. Well done. And one of his teammates is up next in Noah Gregson. So 15.40 is the time to chase at the moment set by Ryan Priest.
That was another driver. Much like Eric Jones, it comes to this racetrack with confidence. Wants some Xfinity races here. And continuing into, as this year goes, the Stewart Haas team got shut down next year, going to run one car. But they haven't quit fighting. They haven't quit bringing good race cars, commitment. And impressive to watch. A good lap.
What a great 3 and 4. Noah had a terrific qualifying effort last weekend at Watkins Glen, and there he is, slides into second after his first flying lap. It was all down here, too. I mean, once again, another great 3 and 4 gives a little back. It was a very average lap in the end of the back straightaway, and had a great 2 sets of corners. Stewart Haas teammates. 1 and 2 provisionally at the moment. Kim?
All smiles from Chris Buescher after last week's Watkins Glen. You played spoiler. I know you want to do it again this weekend, but as we look at Bristol and what it takes to be fast here, how do you put together a fast qualifying ladder?
Place been really good RFK, and I feel like our passing is pretty good practice. A couple of things that I feel like we need to do to make it better. Do what we did last year. Put ourselves behind to the start, so we have a nice smooth qualifying lap. We've been able to run really well. We're even win here from very deep in the field. We just don't want to make it hard on ourselves. So this will be a good spot going out, kind of right in the middle of our group. So we'll have plenty to watch. You ready to go?
Chris Buescher won this race 2 years ago.
And obviously, winner last weekend at Watkins Glen was Chris Buescher as well. First 9 drivers have qualified for Group A to this point. Ryan Priest first, Michael McDowell, who just went third. That was during the Chris Buescher interview. 15.5384 McDowell. Chastain's still looking for his first win of the season. Actually ended up leading the most laps of any driver last weekend at the Glen. So let's see if he can capitalize on some fast speed from one track, translate that to another one here this weekend. Top of the speed charts at qualifying for Chastain, 15.384. He is the 10th driver of 18 to qualify. And again, top 5 from this first group will make it into the final session. Same for Group 2 when that comes around. And there will be of Josh Bilicki will be in that group as well. Defending series champion Ryan Blaney out onto the racetrack now. Scuffing the tires up as he gets ready to put together a lap. Everybody's ran 2 laps of qualifying. Nobody's ran just 1. Very few drivers ran their best lap on their second. Todd Gilliland, Kaz Grala, John Hunter Nemechek are the only 2 drivers who ran their fastest lap on their second lap of qualifying. Ryan Blaney was second fastest in practice overall, so we'll see what he can do for qualifying. He qualified on the pole at Bristol earlier in the spring. 5th on lap 1. We'll see if he has a pickup on lap 2. Completes lap 2, and no, he falls off. So Ryan Blaney 5th, right on the bubble, and I don't think that lap time will hold. His fastest lap was a 15.467. That was, again, lap 1. His second lap was a 15.536, so dropped off about 7/100ths of a second from lap 1 to lap 2. Chastain with a 15.384 was his fast lap. And he had almost a 1/10 of a second drop off from the first to the second lap. So Blaney was the first playoff driver to all on the track. Tracking in the green to try to get into the top 5 on Blaney's lap time initially when he crossed the stripe, but then as he got through 1 and 2, lost a lot of ground. So you have to have a big pickup on lap 2 for himself to have a good qualifying spot for tomorrow's race. And as Burton circles back around, his second lap is not going to be any quicker. Well, it is quicker, but not quick enough, obviously, to get into the Fast 5. A 15.565 for him, 12th of 13. Had a couple of big hiccups on his qualifying lap. He got loose on a few ends of the racetrack on those 2 laps that he ran. Denny Hamlin now to the top of the speed charts, wrapping up his first lap of 15.344. And as fast as he was to get to P1, he is still going to run a second lap. And his second lap is even quicker at 15.333. Picked up almost an entire tenth of a second. And then some. Great laps by Hamlin, both of them. Second even better. And Denny Hamlin now at the front of the leaderboard for average. And that was faster than any lap ran in practice. Ty Gibbs had a 15.38 in practice, and of course at JGR was the fastest. Martin Truex Jr. is going to one-up Denny Hamlin as he goes to the top now at 15.319. So back-to-back laps. Well, really, if you want to be exact here, it looks like back-to-back-to-back laps, because both of Hamlin's laps were quick enough for first place until Martin Truex Jr. went out one spot after him. So that now knocks Ryan Preece and Noah Gragson down to the bubble as Chase Elliott is currently on track. And Elliott going to break into the top 5 in his first lap. Chase now working on lap number 2. After bumping Gragson out of the top 5. And Chase did not pick up on lap 2. About 0.03 of a second slower from lap 1 to lap 2 for Elliott. 15.409 the second time around, but 15.384 will hold, and that's actually the same lap time to the 1,000th of a second that Ross Chastain also ran, and is sitting in third. So Elliott Chastain can be flip-flopped. It's weird because on our leaderboard it has Chastain third, Elliott on the outside. But on the graphic on the USA Network, it's got Elliott. They're both in the top 5 for right now. 3 drivers still to go, though. Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell. And Joey Logano now just wrapping up his first lap of qualifying. Logano does not get into the top 5. He's one spot ahead of his teammate Blaney. 8th right now for Logano, a 15.513. On the second lap, 15.443 was the first lap, so the first lap the quickest. 8th for Joey Logano, does not get into the top 5. So Truex, Hamlin, and Chastain are locks for the Fast 5. Larson, Bell trying to knock him out, which is going to be a very good possibility that that could be the case. And you consider that you got a Hendrick Chevy already in the top 5. And both the Joe Gibbs Toyotas that have already qualified from this group also in the top 5. In fact, they're the top 2. Kyle Larson's first lap does get him into the top 5 for now. 15.392, 5th for Larson. So he'll run a second lap. Try to better his position from lap 1 to lap 2. His first lap was about 0.07 of a second off of Truex's fast time. And his second lap was quicker. 15.371 for Larson, jumps to third. So that locks him into the Fast 5. Good pickup on lap 2 for Kyle Larson. That puts Chase Elliott and Ross Chastain on the bubble. Which again, on our graphic, Chastain would be in. But I'll have to wait and see here for sure. As of right now, we got Christopher Bell on track. He's got to get into the Fast Five first before we get into this discussion. Christopher Bell is tracking in the green on the first lap and goes straight to the top of the charts. A 15.313 for Christopher Bell. So 3 Joe Gibbs Toyotas up at the front of the field. JGR has some speed this weekend. Truex Hamlin both below the cut line coming into this weekend's race. And the speed they're showing right now, they got a good chance to maybe make it into the round of 12 of the playoffs. It's amazing what speed Bell had, and that was even with getting loose off of turn 4. That lap could have been even quicker if he didn't have that power slide, you'd have to imagine. That was a moment and a half he had there. So Christopher, either Chastain or Elliott are going to make it into the Fast Five. They had the same exact lap times of the thousandth of a second. It's going to be interesting to see because, again, on our leaderboard with the raw feed, it showed Chastain, but it showed Elliott on the USA Network graphic. I hope the playoff indicator isn't the tiebreaker for that. That'd be pretty dumb. It's like, oh, he's in the playoffs, so he gets the tiebreaker because Elliott obviously in. Number 19, Martin was not a happy camper last weekend. No, I don't think he's been a happy camper for a minute now. That summer stretch of races and now into the first 2 playoff races has not gone well for him, to say the least. All right, so the order in which the Group B drivers will qualify is currently up on screen. I'll read that off to you. Josh Bilicki will be the first car to go out. Again, always start off with the non-chartered entries. And then after him, we'll get into Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Daniel Hemrick, AJ Allmendinger, Kyle Busch, Josh Berry, Bubba Wallace, Zane Smith, Corey LaJoy, Carson Hocevar will be 10th to go out, Chris Buescher, and then the playoff drivers from the 12th through 19th to go out on the track will be William Byron, Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, and Austin Cindric. So those are the 19 drivers and the order in which they will all qualify. So we'll see how this works out for them. Dale Omliger, thanks for tuning in. Is my feed glitching? It has been lagging in and out the entire time. I deeply apologize for anybody that is bothering. It is seeming like it's more rapidly doing that now. I've logged out of OBS and logged back in. I think I have to reboot my internet, but I'm not able to do that mid-stream without losing the stream. So I've just kind of had to fight through it for right now. But we'll be ready to go like nothing ever happened for the Xfinity Series race later tonight. Got Arby's on the card this weekend for the 66 for MBN. Don't usually see Arby's sponsoring a car, but we do here this weekend. Definitely a new sponsor for MBM, so good to see for them as a smaller team. 16.288 for the first lap on Bilicki. The Wisconsin native running a second lap. And the second was a little bit quicker than the first, 16.190 for Josh Bilicki on lap 2. Next up is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Kroger Dasani scheme this weekend for the 47. This is a speedway. So we'll see what he can bring to the racetrack this weekend. He'll definitely jump to the top of the speed charts over Bilicki. 15.467, fastest of the 2 laps. Second lap was quicker. So in Group A, a lot of the laps that were ran at the fastest were the first. Very few were able to run a faster second lap. But right off the rip, the first 2 as well. Not as badly as Christopher Bell, but kept a decent amount of speed in the car still. This might be the scheme of the weekend, at least the clash between it. The Mountain Dew Doritos car on the 31 of Daniel Hemrick. Didn't see much of this car in practice earlier. Mountain Dew out there. Comment in the chat your favorite Doritos flavor, I guess, would be the way to go about it. I feel like the original is definitely up there. Cool Ranch is there for sure as well. They've kind of gone exotic over the years with their flavor, so I haven't tried a lot of the newer ones, but we'll spark a little conversation in the chat. Hemrick to the top, 15.357. Here's Austin Cindric standing with Kim Kuhn on pit road.
Top 10.
Yeah, I think this qualifying session is going to be super important. The field's covered over by only a couple tenths of a second, so I think that'll be the right start for a 500 laps. You think about how long rate, all that important and qualify well here. So we got the best draw you could ever ask for. So obviously courtesy the last couple of weeks, but yeah, we'll see what we got.
Dawson Cindric, you mentioned the best draw. He is the last driver to take his qualifying lap here at Bristol.
AJ Allmendinger goes to the top with a pretty swift lap by 1/1000th of a second over Hemrick.
So Allmendinger a little loose, but still gets to the top by 1,000th of a second over his teammate Daniel Hemrick at 15.356 on lap 1 for him. And only one lap was ran by the driver of the 16. Turn 4, as we've seen quite a few drivers have. A lot of food sponsors this weekend. We got the Cheddar's car back as the primary sponsor for Kyle Busch yet again this weekend. At Richard Childress Racing. Busch, an 8-time Bristol winner over his Cup Series career, over 20 National Series wins across Truck, Xfinity, and Cup. RCR has not been great at Bristol the last couple of years with this next-gen car. And both RCR cars were in the back half of the field in practice and quality even slower. 15.393 was the fastest of the two. Again, that was lap 1 for Busch, third of 5. Both of the colleague cars were faster than Busch. I think Busch is going to be starting deep in the field. Teammate Austin Dillon well outside the Fast 5 as he qualified in Group A. And Josh Berry is now next on track. Had a good run at Bristol earlier this year. Led a lot of laps in that spring race. And we'll see if he can lead again on the race tomorrow night. Car looks evil through turns 1 and 2. It's wiggling around quite a bit on his qualifying lap. Berry pushing hard. A lot more steady wheel through turns 3 and 4. I think lap 2 is going to be quicker than lap 1 for Berry. I think he left a lot on the table. And yes, second lap was quicker, 15.378. I was going to say he looked kind of out of shape in 1 and 2, but once he got in a rhythm in 3 and 4, he was able to put together a respectable second lap. Berry jumps from 4th to 3rd on that said lap. So 6 drivers have qualified. Bubba Wallace will be next on track. Frank Powers, Lucio, I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in as well. Jacob Kearns, Pete Kramer, Dale Opplinger. Somebody asked me about where I think or who do I think the 3 favorites are for this weekend. Honestly, I think the entirety of JGR would probably be my top 4 as of right now. Bristol night races as well. Well, not the night races, excuse me. He's won the last 2 races at Bristol. The spring race this year, the night race last year. This has been their racetrack, and they're showing a lot of speed. Gibbs top in practice. We haven't seen him qualify yet. But then all 3 JGR Toyotas in Group A of qualifying were 1 through 3. Where Joey Logano qualified, I believe he was 9th. No, 10th rather. 10th in Group A. So Logano will be starting 20th tomorrow. A little smoke coming out of the back of the car. I think Walls might have spun the tires leaving pit road. Could have been intentional to get a little heat in them. The JGR Toyota is looking quick this weekend. Bubba Wallace looking quick as well in the 2311 Toyota. And his second lap was the fastest of the. So we'll see if that's a strategy going forward. I mean, it worked for Bubba. Like I said, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it did get a little heat in the tires, so could have helped with this concrete surface. Advance. Zane Smith wrapping up his qualifying efforts, 7th for him. And lap 1 was his quickest of the 2 laps. 15.53 for Zane Smith, 7th of 8. So last of the chartered entry drivers this weekend. Corey LaJoie in the 7 this weekend. He'll be driving the 51 for Rick Ware Racing the rest of the season after this week. It'll be a team trade between himself and Rick Ware Racing as Justin Haley, current driver of the 51, will be driving the 7 at Spire Motorsports for the remainder of 2024, again, following this weekend's event. So from Kansas onward, that will be the case, and we'll see if Haley will be in that car again through next year as well. Good lap for Corey LaJoie to break into the top 5, and he goes straight to the top overall. Wow, great lap by LaJoie. 15.25. Even faster than that of Bubba Wallace. Second lap, slower. Way slower on lap 2. Lost about a 10th and a half. But the first lap for Corey LaJoie looking great. Trying to show out here this weekend in his final week with Spire. Of course, it was also announced that he would be leaving the team at season end, not even going to make it to the end of the season. That's even after an 8th place finish at Watkins Glen last week. In fact, all 3 RCR Chevrolets finished in the top 8. LaJoie 8th, and then a top 5 run for both Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith. Smith finished 5th. Hocevar career best 3rd. At the Glen had the good strategy, and they stayed clean all the way through. Got a good finish. Hocevar second quickest behind his teammate LaJoie. And that was on lap 1. A 15.282 for Hocevar. And we have 9 drivers still to qualify.
You go back 4 or 5 years, they'd already his own charters, but then they started to run those businesses, the same partner, that infused some finances, which has allowed them to continue to grow. Companies like Mattress Warehouse on the hood, you mentioned it. It was last week as well in the 77. So Spire is continuing to become a real and effective race team week in and week out. The Watkins Glen winner, Chris Buescher on track in his RFK Racing Ford. Likes this place. Has won here. And it's going to be just fine with him if he continues to be a spoiler jet.
This is a very good race team. Obviously, had multiple opportunities to win races in the regular season, which would have put them in the playoffs and had themselves in good point position, but just a bit of surprise winners in the last few races of the regular season, and it knocked them right out. So, but they didn't get down. They kept fighting, come back to Watkins Glen. That last few laps he drove were super impressive at Watkins Glen. Kind of, in my eyes, put enough pressure on SVG to force him into a mistake.
William Byron hits the track for his turn in qualifying. How quick will this Hendrick Motorsports Chevy be? His teammates, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, they're in the 5 from the first group. And this is trending in the right direction. It's green, it's quick, it's swift. Second at the moment. Second and looking to improve. Trent kind of got away from him, but it's still going to be good enough for the top, I believe. Good call. 15.217, William Byron to the top.
Yeah, I think for William and his team, they can qualify well and get good saves, that gives them some flexibility.
That's right.
If they don't have a good second stage on the end of the race. So we talked earlier about how important qualifying is, certainly for that team.
How about Keselowski? 12 below.
Had to get out of the gas. Pretty far off. His teammate, 0.2 of a second in the start finish line. That's 11th in this group.
And it's not where you want to start if you want to come here to make up points. Made an adjustment from behind the wheel.
Much better lap.
It's green. Even albeit marginally, now it goes back into the red. It's drifting either side.
It's not enough, but from the first lap to the second lap, he gained about 4 rows, right? And so, not what he's going to want, but it could have been much worse. I just kept the fight up.
Interestingly enough, another burnout from the 45. So 23-11 both purposely, it looks like trying to get some heat in those rear tires.
Well, it worked for Bubba Wallace. He was on top for a period there. Now Wallace has seen himself slip to 4. Can he hang on? The list of drivers still to come. After Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, and Austin Cindric.
He was as low as anyone that I've seen into turn 3 that lap. That just kind of missed turn 1, had to shut it down the second lap. So that puts him 5th fastest. I'd be surprised if that's going to be good enough. You might be looking at the pole sitter right here. I have a feeling this car is going to go really fast.
Well, judging by his JGR teammates, that's the mode. Christopher Bell, Truex, and Hamlin, 1, 2, 3 from Group 1. Let's go. Let's see what Ty Gibbs has got.
Love that camera. You can hear him coming up through the gears, trying to build as much speed as possible. And look how fast things happen. Green flag.
Great flag, and
Oh boy, a big moment. Those loops on the wheel are huge.
Now he's got to kind of get it back together, run to the top on purpose. Knew that lap was no good, gave it up. That could be the difference maker.
He's there, he's close. He's getting it back. It's gone to green. Ty Gibbs on his second lap. Gets it. Great comeback.
Big comeback. That save on lap 1 was gigantic. We were on board, Jeff. Look at it from outside the car.
Yeah, so look how loose he gets. Chases the back of the car. But then the wherewithal and the intelligence to not panic. Knowing now I've got to carry speed back to the start-finish line. Ran the top of 3 and 4 to come to his white flag lap with as much speed as possible. That was smart driving. And had to make that decision in a split second.
He's the 48 of Alex Bowman. Byron at the top with a 21. Remember, that was lap 2 for Byron.
Oh, man, this lap for Bowman. The monster playoff run for Bowman continues. Top of the board.
Back it down, back it down.
Wow.
How about that?
You know what I like too? Is that he hasn't really said much. He's not telling people what he's going to do. He's just going and doing it.
It is. And he hasn't let the pressure of being a cup driver affect him. And Steve said it great earlier. People forget he was coming back from a major injury. And all he's done is win races.
3 to go. 3 drivers, that is, in this phase of qualifying. And Daniel Suarez is on track.
I was worried about his speed in practice. 35th on the single lap. And it's showing right here in qualifying. This is going to be near the bottom on this entire group. It is. 16th quick, only 1 slower.
Bubba Wallace anxiously looks on. I don't think he's going to be on the thread here, although it's a better comeback lap by Daniel Suarez second, but then the time's drifting away now. So Wallace will hang on, as that's not what Daniel Suarez was looking for.
I mean, 36 points above, but he will start in the last 2 rows of a half-mile track where the leaders will be right. You just said, what, 20 laps, 30 laps?
And so far, of the playoff drivers, he and Harrison Burton could line up in the last 2 rows of a very large pack.
Chase Briscoe on track. Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, the last 2 to go in regular qualifying before we go into the top 10 mode.
Good luck so far.
Yep, and it's getting even better.
It's going the wrong way, but still going to be good. Shut her down.
There you go. Straight to P2. Wallace knows that that's it for qualifying for him for the day.
How about that? Look at first and second speed. Identical. That is wild to me that you can go average 126 miles an hour around a half-mile racetrack and run the exact same speed. two different manufacturers, two different companies, two different drivers go around the racetrack at the exact same speed.
Austin Cindric on track. Corey LaJoy is guaranteed a spot in the next phase of qualifying. Well done. Great effort.
If there's a driver of the round award, this guy gets it. He has brought the very best to these playoffs. In my eyes, no one's done better at going into the playoffs and improving from the regular season than Austin Cindric and this team.
He sits third in the playoff standings.
A little loose.
Great second lap. He's made an improvement, trending green. Can he just hold it? Even if it's not good enough to advance, it should move him up the list a little bit. Currently 14th. That's way back.
Oh, could not improve. Really went away in 3 and 4. Look at the excitement. Carson Hocevar, welcome to the second round of qualifying. 2 Spire Motorsports Chevrolets in the top 5 from Group 2. Awesome effort. Qualifying's far from done though.
Momentum for Spire Motorsports. 2 cars in the top 10 in qualifying at Bristol after all 3 get a top 10 finish at Watkins Glen a week ago. Your Fast 5 from Group B again is Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, Corey LaJoy, and Carson Hocevar. And they will join themselves now into the final round to see who will qualify on the pole for tomorrow's Bass Pro Shops Bristol night race. Pole qualifying continues on KRC. You're listening live for some more NASCAR Cup Series action. Once again, be sure to hit that like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet. We're currently sitting at 51 likes. Subscribe for more NASCAR content as well. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to qualify on the pole this weekend. As soon as qualifying wraps up, we'll have the full field starting lineup for you before we get on out of here. About another 20 minutes or so. And whoever doesn't have the fastest time of these final 10, you're going to be starting based on the group you are in. Fastest in your group, of course. Fastest in each group will be on the front row, and then everything else further back through the field is going to be based on the group. So Group A will start on the outside lane, Group B on the inside lane. Not looking good for Suarez. No, he is not looking fast at all. So something is definitely missing on that 99. Chastain looked a lot better on his qualifying lap. He was in Group A and qualified 6th. He actually had the same lap time to the 1,000th of a second on Chase Elliott, but they're going to go with Elliott's time. I'm not sure what the actual... I don't think it was a tiebreaker. Probably just went past the 1,000th of a second to determine who had that fastest lap. But Chase Elliott got it. Only 2 non-playoff drivers that qualify in the top 10 this weekend are both those Spire cars of Hocevar and LaJoy. And the only Ford to make it into the top 10 this weekend, Chase Briscoe. 3 Toyotas and 6 Chevrolets. All in the Fast 5.
Making it through. You've got the 2 of the 3 Spire Motorsports cars. 1 for Stuart Haas. 3 of the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas. Pretty good spread there, but power from Hendrick Motorsports. We check in with Kim.
Yeah, what a big story from Spire Motorsports last weekend. All 3 cars finished in the top 10 for the first time. Carson Hocevar finished in the 3rd place, then backs it up this weekend. Moving on to the second round of qualifying. What have you and this team hit on recently?
I don't know. Maybe the calendar's just gotten a little later in the year that we've just been able to, have our process. Get to round 2, it's no small feat. Reminds me a lot of Darlington. I didn't like my lap at all, and I didn't think it was going to be able to transfer. So I think that shows how good our cars are getting. I don't need to get everything out of them anymore to, get that perfect lap time or be up high on the board. Hopefully we can just be 1 spot better, similar to Darlington, but Luke Lambert, this whole group, Jeff Dickerson's here. We had to run good in front of the boss man, but Delaware Life Chevrolet is really strong and excited to see what we can do here. But big starting spot for Sunday, which track position's really.
On to Bristol.
Well done, young man. Remember, he's only 21. First season in Cup. Another great qualifying.
So the order you see on the screen is not the order in which they will qualify. It'll be descending order with the Group A drivers going first, then Group B. So 5th from Group A through 1st, and then 5th through Group B through 1st. So the last driver who will go out and make a timed lap here will actually be Alex Bowman, as Bowman had the fastest time from Group B. So Elliott will be first, then Larson. After Larson, we'll then have Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and Christopher Bell. Bell was the fastest from Group A. And then when we get into Group B, it'll be Carson Hocevar, Corey LaJoie, and William Byron, Chase Briscoe, and Alex Bowman will round things out. Regine Huddleston, thanks for tuning in as well. Be sure to as well hit that like button if you haven't done so yet. Over 50 likes now. Start time will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And if you're wondering when we'll go live for our Cup Series action tomorrow, it will be at 7 p.m. Eastern. Right here on KRC. And any lagginess we've had during the stream will not be the case. I will get that internet rebooted as soon as the stream comes to an end. And shouldn't have any issues. The only other thing I can think of is that it is currently raining at my house. I don't think that's having an issue with the stream, but I guess maybe it could. Who knows? It's not like it's thunderstorming, so it's not like you would think the internet would be lagging because of that. I mean, it's rained during streams before for me when it hasn't done that, so I don't know. I'm not a tech wizard, obviously. I do the best with what I have every single weekend, and
Right, and you can catch it on the CW NASCAR Countdown live at 7 Eastern. 7:30 Xfinity Series racing, and then a reminder tomorrow will be on USA. By the way, see that sign that young guy's holding there? Yes, Dale Jr. wheel of a car. By the way, we'll have the big race under the lights tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern on USA, as the drivers who made the top 10 are climbing in their cars. They are ready to go, and we'll bring it to you when we come back.
final commercial now before we get into the final round of qualifying here today, as that will lead us into an ad break here. Again, you're listening live on KRC to Bush Pole qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series. Once again, we will have an Xfinity Series race live stream tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Dale Jr. in the Cup race there? No, he's in the Xfinity race tonight. Dale Jr. not running Cup. Jr. going to be running the Xfinity Series race tonight at Bristol. Alrighty. I'm ready for this. So Ryan Blaney, who was on the pole in the spring race earlier this year, does not even make it to the final round of qualifying for this summer race. Which I honestly think that this is going to play out more like last season's fall race more than anything, because the Fords are lacking pace, which is something that was heavily the case pretty much at Bristol last year, and even they lacked a lot of pace then as well. Austin Cindric qualified well outside the top 30. Now, hopefully that over 40-point cushion that he has is going to be good enough. He's 43 points above the cutoff line. Pretty much just has to stay incident free, and I think he'll be closer for comfort than he would like, but it also makes it tough when you got two drivers who are below the cutoff line qualifying inside the top 10, Hamlin, Truex. And Truex was second fastest in his group, Hamlin third, both from Group A. So they'll be towards the front of this qualifying order. 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Cup race tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight for the Xfinity race. A little bit later start time there. Usually go live for the pre-races on the Cup side of things.
And especially under the lights. Oh, yeah, there's occasionally some raised tempers as well. Speaking of being raised, check this out. You can see Q in there. You've been taking Stephen I to ride in the pace car. It was our old buddy Rick Allen because he scared him to even up this high above us. Welcome back, folks. We're in qualifying mode. It's the top 10. This is Chase Elliott. Let's get to it. Things are going to happen fast. Still get 2 laps. Not everyone ran 2 laps the first time, so a little variety of tire in the field. And how your car balance changed now that the laps on tires are there. They don't drive exactly the same the second time out, Jeff. So, and who's made the adjustments to match? 15:32 for Elliott.
Track is completely shaded now. A little bit of sun right here off the 4. But mostly track tips down.
So there's the time to chase. 15.320. Chase Elliott. There comes his teammate. All 4. Remember, we mentioned it before we went to the break. All 4 Hendrick Motorsport Chevys are in this top 10. No Team Penske Fords. That's a bit of a shock.
Yeah, the Penske's all had good pace practice, but did not bring it to qualifying.
Clock says green for Kyle Larson. Head-to-head up against one of his teammates.
Much quicker than Chase.
Wow. Man, that's the fastest lap we've seen in 18, sure is.
You ask a little more of the car on that second lap, and it just wouldn't take it. And shut it down.
From Kyle Larson. Now here's the man who has won the last 2 races here in Bristol, Denny Hamlin. And a win would be something magical tomorrow. To just ease the pain of what has transpired over the last few races.
I really like to hear what he and Chris Gabehart were talking about coming to this racetrack. Chris Gabehart's crew chief was, this is our house, and we're going to come here, we're going to dominate, we're going to get done what we need to get done. I love the fact that they were just owning it. And the first 2 races had not gone well, but they were coming to a place they felt like they could make things happen.
Can he get it back on the second lap? Nothing in it, 600ths of a second. Punches the throttle, comes to the line. Denny Hamlin. 15.269 is the time that stands for the 11. Gabehart knows and Denny knows that rarely is there 8 100ths between the first and the... If Truex and Bell can outrun the 11. A high starting position would work wonders for Martin Truex Jr. Trying to stay alive in his final Cup season, stay alive in the playoffs to go through to the round of 12.
He's got a shot right here. Was not able to carry speed into 3 the way you wanted to. Good exit speed. Could this lap be better?
It's close.
No.
So you lost the bottom that time on entry, drove in. On that bumper cam, you see kind of the nose of the car up the racetrack. 15.202.
All right, so Kyle Larson still at the top of the speed charts. One more driver from this group still to qualify, that being Christopher Bell, who was the fastest in Group A through round 1. But yeah, as far as round 2 goes, so far so good for Larson, and he has ran the fastest lap of anybody so far. Round 1, we didn't see a lap time this quick, so here in round 2, Christopher Bell tracking in the red through turns 1 and 2 on Larson. Going to have to pick up in 3 and 4. Lap 1's not going to do it. He's going to need a massive pickup on lap 2 if he's going to want to break into the top of the speed charts here. 15.242 on the first lap for Bell. Second lap, a couple hundredths of a second slower, so Bell will be 3rd. So row 3 for Christopher Bell. He'll be starting 6th for tomorrow's race. Will be locked into a front row starting spot, but will it be 1st or will it be 2nd is going to be the question. So the worst Larson could qualify here is second place. Fastest in his group through round 2. 15.183, Truex with a 15.202. Christopher Bell with a 15.242. Hamlin with a 15.269 and a 15.32 for Chase Elliott. It was in round 2. Carson Hocevar will be the next driver to qualify.
It's shocking to see how good he looked.
So ready for the next group to come in qualifying. Before we get there, let's remind ourselves why we are excited about tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's not an accident that they have Bristol as the cutoff race for the first round of our playoffs. The atmosphere of Bristol is just unlike any other.
I'm ready to rip somebody's freaking head off.
They're closer.
After looking at him, we gotta be pretty aggressive and not.
And Mark Truex Jr. has completed his qualifying lap. He said, I wish I could have just gone a little bit faster. What did you need there? Give yourself a grade on that qualifying lap.
It was an A. It wasn't an A plus. Definitely had just a little bit more in it, I think. But you know, it's really good. A really good day for us here with our best British Ops camp. It's probably going to be my best ever starting spot. So good time to do that. But proud of the guys who worked hard all week to get prepared for this, and feel like we're in the ball game. So just kind of hope we can do really good for 500 laps tomorrow night and have a shot at the win at the end. We'll see.
Good stuff. Thanks, Ken. Great to hear from Martin. And well done. Here we go. Next group. Kyle Larson sits on the provisional pole position for the Bass Pro 9 race tomorrow night. This is the youngster, Carson Hocevar. Already in the green. This group was a little quicker in general, but we couldn't tell if it was track condition or not. But it looks to me that a lot of speed. Remember, this was the slowest of the 5 cars, and he's going to be right there. 21 good laps so far.
And trying to ask a lot of the car, and right in the middle of the corner and corner exit, he wasn't able to stay the bottom. Entered on the first lap with good speed, rolled the middle with good speed, but just couldn't quite keep it on exit.
Here comes his teammate Corey LaJoy, and it's the first time in Spire Motorsports history that they have 2 cars qualifying in the top 10. That's coming off Watkins Glen, where all 3 cars finished the race in the top 10. These guys have got some momentum happening right now.
We had a little turbulence in the world of Corey LaJoy. The announcement today that starting at Kansas, he'll start driving the Rick Ware car. We know he's not returning to Spire. Could he go ahead and sit on his first career pole the same weekend?
Time's going away from him. If he may have said I overdrove, couldn't quite understand it.
Tell me in 5 more seconds, I would have said. Just do your thing.
Well, he's going to be disappointed with that lap, but nonetheless, a top 10 starting spot, can't be disappointed with that.
Fire in Briscoe and Bowman.
Kyle Larson watches on with interest. He has 5 poles this season. Him and Michael McDowell share that honor. It's a very good chance of this being number 6. Here we go. It's in the green. His teammates taking the fight to him. William Byron to the top. What'd you like about that, Steve?
I loved how he can keep the left front connected to the yellow line all the way around to that 2/3 mark. He doesn't leave the corner, Jeff. As you talk, as he asked those front tires for more and more grip, they responded. I really liked it because it looked in control. It didn't look fast, yet it was. That's when cars handle the best. Briscoe climbs to him and get this big run off turn 4. I also like that coming to the green. Will it pay off?
It is super tight. Keep watching it. Now you see screen for the first time. Now it comes back a little bit. This will be close. Chase Briscoe, provisional 2nd row. Saw that left front leave the yellow line just a couple feet earlier than he wanted it to. I just don't know if the grip's in the front tires on lap 2. It was so subtle, Jeff, but you and I both saw it. Like a car length too early, the front tires left the yellow line. Has to be happy with that, though. I know.
Second in the group for Chase Briscoe, 15.170. As you heard, William Byron, top of the speed charts as of right now, with a 15.142, and only his teammate Alex Bowman is left. Bowman just wrapping up his first qualifying lap, and that's all he's going to have to run because now Bowman goes to the top of the speed charts of 15.142. So Alex Bowman, fastest in the overall lap time in Group B rather, and now here in the second session, he's going to go to the top of the speed charts yet again. And Larson, Byron, and then Chase Elliott also qualifying in the top 10 back in 10th. I'd say pretty good showing for HMS here today. First pole of the season for Alex Bowman. Showing some speed here this weekend. Kind of a pre-junior motorsports appreciation night. Maybe it's a sign for things to come later on today. So we'll go through the starting lineup as Bowman's still getting out of his race car. And then for Bell on row 1. That's not accurate, actually. Yeah. Hang on. I'll get that figured out for us here. That graphic was not correct. Looks like they'll be sorting through that in a moment. Here is Alex Bowman.
Pole in Chicago.
Here's that reminder again, programming reminder. CW countdown live in preparation for the Xfinity tomorrow for the Cup Race countdown to green at 7 Eastern. That's on USA though, and then we'll go racing under the lights here in Bristol at 7:30 p.m. Let's go down to Kim Coon. It's going to be a happy Alex Bowman.
It is a happy Alex Bowman gets his first pole of the season when it matters most, an elimination race, and you are on the pole. How big is this for you and the team headed into tomorrow night?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I felt like, we're obviously in a pretty good spot. Played hard and worked hard to try to come here and be better. And we're okay in practice. I feel like I struggled on the top of 1 and 2 a little bit, but had a really awesome car in qualifying. Just really proud of everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. They gave me a really fast Ally 48 Camaro. That's what mattered today.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
A monster of a lap from Alex Bowman as he'll lead the field to green in tomorrow night's race.
And Kim, he leads at Hendrick Motorsports 1, 2, 3. So there you have it. Practice and qualifying for the Cup Series. We'll see them race tomorrow. Xfinity Series racing tonight on the CW.
So I believe that is actually going to end things off for Cup Series qualifying coverage on the USA Network. They were about to show the graphic of the starting lineup for tomorrow's race, but it looked like it was not correct. So we ended up not getting a graphic entirely. What I can tell you, Alex Bowman is on the pole. And 1, 2, 3 for Hendrick Motorsports. Kyle Larson second, and William Byron ended up in third. Mark Truex Jr. starting outside of row 2 in fourth. Road number 3, the inside, I believe, is going to be Carson Hocevar. Outside of row 3 is going to be Christopher Bell. Chase Elliott, Corey LaJoie back in row 5, so that makes row 4 Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin. I might have Briscoe Hocevar mixed up between the two of them. It's hard to tell when our leaderboard on the raw feed isn't accurate either. So, I mean, it's accurate in the order that they qualified in, but that's not the same order because of the groups and the way that goes about, so. What we can say is Alex Bowman's on the pole for tomorrow's race. That is a guarantee. And it'll be the first pole of the season for Bowman, so we'll see those 3 HMS Chevys lead things off tomorrow night. As far as today's stream, that's going to wrap up our Busch Pole qualifying as well as practice live commentary coverage for the NASCAR Cup Series right now. We'll have full Xfinity Series race coverage later on, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We're about an hour and 15 minutes away from the start of that one. So bottom of the next hour, we'll go live again, NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage. Thanks for everybody tuning in on this Friday afternoon. See you for a Friday night stream in a little bit. And we'll see what Dale Jr. can do here this evening. I think that'll be exciting for a lot of you guys out there. Junior Nation still runs proud to this day, so good luck to him. Good luck to the rest of the field. Congratulations to Alex Bowman for starting on the pole for tomorrow's Bristol night race.